Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm joined with Jeremy Brett from Planet Green Metals. Planet Green is a little bit of a project generator royalties model who are currently in the process of expanding their flagship Sheridan Property near Timmins, Ontario, through recently signing an MOU to expand the property to 12,000 hectares. In this interview, we're going to get into the company's exploration strategy and how they plan to use both geophysics and geochemistry to go and find that center of what they believe to be a big VMS system. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Jeremy Brett, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, a topic that's come up on various interviews that we've done recently is the discussion on copper. When I chat with, really big investors who are pretty smart when it comes to deploying capital, they all talk about how copper is a place you want to be. You definitely want to be early in the copper trade and how it's just around the corner with the supply and demand characteristics. But still, we're not seeing a whole lot of capital flow into the copper explorer names just yet. So we were chatting with Brian Dalton from Altius, and he said that something that they talk about internally quite a bit is this idea of the incentive price for copper, where we start to see money flow into copper juniors. What's your view on the incentive price, and where do you think copper needs to sit in order to see some more excitement in the copper names?
Well, I think we're probably already there. I think that the copper price has increased dramatically over the past 20 years, certainly again over the past 10 years. Copper is building a nice base above $4, and we haven't seen that since about 2010. And so I think we're already there. I think that perhaps the bigger issue is the availability of venture capital. And from analysts and bankers I've been talking to, there's a real issue of the availability of venture capital all over North America, and they feel a lot of that is due to the pandemic and then interest rates. So once the system can heal from that trauma, I think then you're going to see venture capital flow into all markets, and including junior mining. But I think the copper price is very healthy. I think, to be honest, I think we're already there. I'd also comment that groups such as Sprott are already taking positions in junior mining companies. Word on the street is they're definitely investing. Markets are rebounding a little bit in general, so I think we're already there, to be honest.
Okay, so let's get into Planet Green Metals, which is your company. What's the high-level overview of the company for our audience new to the story?
Yes, we built Planet Green at the bottom of the markets. I mean, this has got to be the bottom. So we built it and we feel it's only got one way to go, and that's up. We've got 6 exploration properties, including one which is our flagship. That's the Sheridan Property now. So that's going to be a VMS property. We're looking at base metals, and we've just put out a press release. We've expanded the property, or we're about to expand the property by a joint venture, and we're going to increase it by 400%. So we're really excited about that project.
So my understanding is that you guys are a little bit of a project generator slash royalty model, which is obviously boils down to the experience of your team and your ability to go and find those projects that developers are going to want to take on. So what can you tell us about your team and your strategy to go and find those assets?
Yeah, well, we built an integrated board. So I have a technical partner, Dr. Sandy Archibald. He's an economic geologist and an explorationist. He's got 25 years in the business. I've been doing mineral exploration as a geophysicist for about 30 years. And so we've teamed up on the technical side, but we've integrated our board and the corporate side as well. So we want to have an integrated team where we can look at new projects, bring them into the company, but then also decide, can you finance these projects? So we're really working together both on the technical side and the corporate side to get this moving. It's our objective to become a royalties company. So we're positioning to control the NSRs of all of our projects as much as possible. That's the down the road objective. Right now, the objective is exploration. So I would call it a hybrid model between exploration and royalties.
Okay, so let's get into the properties a bit here. Your flagship asset right now is Sheridan, which is located in Northern Ontario. What can you tell
Yes.
us about this asset?
Yeah, it's a VMS project. It basically surrounds the historical Cross Lake mineral showings, which made a big splash in the late 1990s. You've got significant copper, zinc, silver. You have potential for gold. The numbers historically in the area have been, 1 to 3% copper, 1 to 6% zinc, up to 911 grams per ton of silver. And so there's an awful lot of smoke in this area. And we've just announced a memorandum of understanding with a neighbor. So we could go from about 3,000 hectares to adding on another 12,000 hectares to the property. So that's going to create a much bigger project, essentially casting a wider net for mineralization. And there are showings all over the place in this area. We're trying to capture almost the entire rhyolite belt in this area. So that's going to give us more advantage in terms of exploration just by the sheer area of the property. But the various types of mineralization are extremely interesting. We've got 3 different styles of mineralization, VMS mineralization. And if we can figure out this entire system, which is what we want to do, then we stand a good chance of finding the centers of the system, which is where all the big mineralization should be. So we're projecting that there's room for, let's say, 2 ore deposits on a property of this size. And it's also, in our opinion, quite underexplored.
So how do you go about that in terms of exploration strategy? Like is it a matter of you obviously have a background in geophysics. For our audience that's often looking at these investor decks that have these maps where there's all these different colors and they don't know what they're looking at. Maybe you could break it down for us of how you actually intend to go and find the center of the system.
Yeah, well, it all started off with area selection. So Sandy liked this area because of the rhyolite package. This is a perfect setting for VMS style mineralization. One of the keys here is the cover. You've got a lot of glacial till cover, eskers. So historically, even though this project is only about 25 kilometers from Timmins, which of course is a major mining center, it hasn't had the benefit of a lot of prospecting and geological mapping because it's all undercover. So this is probably going to be a geophysically driven project. Geophysical surveys have been flown historically. From what we see so far, not all the geophysical anomalies have been tested. We want to fly new geophysics. We want to create more targets. So we're hoping within, say, 6 to 8 months, we can be creating drill targets based primarily on geophysics. But down the road, you have to be looking at the rocks have intersected. There's a lot of historical drill core in this area. Once we start drilling ourselves, we're going to be looking at the drill core. Then we can start looking at the geochemistry. So that's something else that historically no one's been able to really look at because it's all covered in glacial cover plus swamps. So it's a real challenge geologically. And we think that's kind of the veil that's preserved this property from discovery in the past. And that's what we want to exploit.
So my understanding, glacial till's basically just a whole bunch of debris that you guys have to get through in order to actually go and find, the treasure. What is
Exactly.
that? So that means that this is gonna be a pretty intensive project, if I understand it correctly. Now, you talked about geophysics. How
Yes.
what are we looking for? What would excite you when you're looking at this property and you guys are looking at geophysics? Sorry, geochemistry.
Yeah, well, the geochemistry will come later after we do the drilling. And my business partner, Dr. Sandy Archibald, he's an explorationist, primarily an economic geologist, but he's also a very good geochemist. And so once we do start looking at the drill core, someone like Sandy can start to vector in the system and actually point and say, all right, we have to go this way in the system to look for certain metals and certain styles of metals. And the selection of the geophysical system is critical. I mean, typically we use huge metal detectors that are suspended underneath helicopters, kind of like what you would use on a beach to find coins, except they're quite small, and we use ones that are say 25 meters across, suspended under the helicopter. And so you can use those to find certain types of VMS style base metals, say copper rich base metals. They would respond. They would give a conductive anomaly. Whereas other types of mineralization, such as zinc rich deposits, they won't respond so well to that. So we might have to go to ground geophysics. And then there are other types of deposits that can be really big. They're not really detectable with airborne systems so easily. So again, you got to go to different types of ground geophysics. So it's a matter of matching up the right geophysical system with the exploration model, which is what we're going to build next, immediately after we close our next raise.
So with the G so you drill and you've done your geophysics, you've done your drilling, now you're onto geochemistry. What are those things you wanna see that would get you excited?
Metals. We want to see copper. We want to see zinc. Precious metals are distinct possibility in systems like this. So yeah, we're looking for probably 3 different types of ore bodies in this area. And it's a great district to be looking in. You've got the Horn Mine just down the road. That's the same style of mineralization we'd be looking for, except that one is a huge world-class deposit. Love to find one of those, but they're very unusual. More typical is the Magusi mine that's also down the road. That's much smaller, only worth a couple of $1 billion as opposed to tens of billions of dollars. So any of those would be lovely to find. Absolutely lovely.
So you guys also have other projects. Where's the exploration dollars going right now? Are you guys specifically focused on Sheridan?
We're going to be heavily focused on Sheridan. We want to start airborne geophysics and ground geophysics as soon as possible, following the geological compilation stage. But we're also looking at our Marion project, and that's in the Swayze Greenstone Belt, and it's just around the corner from the Cote Lake mine. So it's a very promising area for gold. That is a low grade type gold model, but we're keeping our eyes open for all different styles of gold mineralization. There's also potential for copper in the area. Again, a VMS type model, but that project's primarily gold. So that's our other flagship, so to speak, and we're very much looking forward to getting started on that as well. The programs are probably typically going to be airborne geophysics for that as well. First off, we would plan to spend let's say 200,000, a quarter million on Marion as well. The Sheraton project is probably going to be much more. If we can finalize this acquisition and have 5 times the project size, well, then the airborne geophysics is going to go up in magnitude.
Okay, so what can you tell us about your share structure in terms of the prices that you guys have raised money at, or even the price that you guys are currently raising money at? And who are any of the noteworthy shareholders that you can talk about?
Yeah, currently we've got about 33 million shares out, and 45% is very tightly held by insiders, family, friends, and friendly brokerage houses. So we've got brokerage houses primarily in Vancouver who've come in. They're sticking with us. Our objective is long-term shareholders and keep on a friendly basis, keep everyone informed of what we're doing. But I think we're very well positioned as an early stage company.
Okay, last question for you. If I'm an investor watching the story or I'm building my watch list and I'm looking for some exploration names, what am I watching for from the company over the next 12 months?
Yes, I think we're going to be able to create news, and it's going to start off probably in December with understanding the geology. We'll be discussing that, hopefully transitioning early in the new year into various forms of geophysics. Those should at least be creating target zones, if not targets. But our objective is to be moving towards a drill campaign, let's say next summer. So in 6 to 8 months, that we're really hoping to have drill targets so we can start exploring.
Well, Jeremy, Brett, thanks very much for hopping on here. I think that this is a story that we're going to want to keep an eye on, and hopefully you can come back on here in the future and walk us through those drill results once you guys get some drills in the ground, and we can analyze and understand what your strategy is as you guys continue to roll it out.
That would be great. I would love to do that, and we'll definitely keep everybody informed. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, let us know what you think in the comment section. Thanks, everyone.